Hey, what's up? It's Clo Bare. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about what I spend in a month, and we're going to be going over my September 2020 spending. So if you are new here, I once a month share pretty much everything that I spent my money on in 1 month, and I compare it to how I budgeted for the month. And I explain the areas where I completely messed up, and I also make excuses for all of the ways that I failed. So we're going to do that today. If you like this kind of content, be sure to hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want to see more of this. So we'll dive right in. Here we go. All right, so September 2020 was super freaking expensive, and I'm just going to put it out there right now. I spent $10,000 last month. There is a very big reason. For those of you who do any kind of side hustling, and for me, that is my income from my real estate investments. I fund some flip projects here in the Chicago area, and I make interest income from that. But for those of you who do that sort of thing, you know that September 15th just came up, and September 15th is significant because we have to pay quarterly taxes. I was not aware that I needed to pay quarterly taxes for interest income, so I put down $5,000 on my tax bill. So that was kind of like a catch-up contribution, but I'll have to put another $5,000 in January, on January 15th. Now I have all of those dates in my calendar, so I won't miss any more, but it's a new thing for me, paying quarterly taxes. So it's certainly interesting. It's certainly not a good feeling, and it clearly bumped up my numbers for September 2020. But let's first take a look at my categories right here. So as you can see, there's definitely a lot of spending, but when you take away the $2,000 that I spent on debt and the $5,000 that I spent on taxes, I really didn't do that bad. Like, I'm spending under $3,500 on my essential expenses. So that includes almost $1,500 for rent, and then the rest, $1,500, that's really going to things like groceries, Clo Bare expenses, health and medical, and all that other stuff. So the areas that I'm still spending a little bit more than I want to be, I would say groceries is a little bit high. $311 on groceries is not something that I want to always have such a high bill on. I used to spend closer to $250 a month on groceries, so I'd really like to get back down to that. But the thing is, the reason I'm not super concerned with that number is because I have been cooking a lot more at home, and when you cook a lot more at home, then you're not spending as much money out, eating out and things like that. Even though, as you can see from my entertainment, there's a bug. Please don't make Mike Pence jokes. I hate gnats, and it is flying around, and I'm trying to ignore it. Anyway, so my grocery bill is definitely one that I want to work on, but okay, I have to pause and kill this gnat. Okay, I think I killed the gnat, but I'm not really sure, so if you see me flailing again, that is why. So anyway, Clo Bare also had a really expensive month. I spent $300 on Clo Bare, and that is because I filed for an LLC, and that cost $150. The rest of that money is from having to buy headphones for an interview that I did, and I have a MacBook Pro, so it has like a special headphones jack, which is really annoying, so I had to get a special thing for that. And then I also had some other random expenses, like having to pay for the gnat is back. Ugh. I don't know if I got it or not, but you at least got to witness that, if I did. So anyway, Clo Bare expenses are high, and that's partially from ordering in supplies for a few projects that I'm going to be doing for other people, and then also a domain renewal and things like that. So there were a couple of expenses. Luckily, most of those are write-offs when it comes to tax season, which I could definitely use help on. So health medical is pretty normal. I spent 20 bucks on that. My home was normal. Transportation car insurance is a little bit more expensive, so I spent $190, and that's because I went to a wedding, and the wedding was a little bit far away, and I obviously don't want to be drinking and driving, and so I took an Uber out there, and that ended up bringing up my bill a little bit more. So there were a couple of Ubers in there for that reason. I also had a $52 car rental within there to go up and see my boyfriend, and that included things like I also had to pay gas, And I also had to pay for those Ubers. So a little bit more expensive on that last month. I guess that's what happens when you date somebody who lives in the BFE and you don't have a car. So anyway, personal was a pretty decent amount of money, $133. I'd like to keep that closer to $100 every month because I don't know, $133 just seems unnecessary. So what came out of that, the reason that it was high, is I did have to buy a gift for a bachelorette party, and then I also spent money on my boyfriend, who I invited to the wedding. He didn't have any dress clothes, so I, being the sweetheart that I am, decided to buy him some dress clothes, and that was about $140 or $130-ish. So besides that, my entertainment expenses, the thing about my entertainment and dating expenses, so I spent $160 on entertainment, and then I spent, what did I spend? $150 on dating. That's all over $300 on essentially entertainment, because the things that we do when we're spending money on dating is also considered entertainment. But when you break down that $300, I am spending most of my entertainment dollars on food. So if you really looked, if you took my grocery bill and you added it to my entertainment and dating bill and you just called it food, I'd be spending about $600 a month just on food. Which is not what I want to be doing. Like, that's completely ridiculous. And if Graham Stephan were watching this, he would say how completely freaking ridiculous it is. So I need to really work on that. I mean, a lot of that, like when I track dating expenses or entertainment expenses, if it's like getting special groceries or special snacks or things like that, I will put that into the dating or entertainment category instead of the grocery category. But I mean, there were hungover Grubhub orders, there were snack deliveries because of being hungover after the wedding. There's a drunk McDonald's run after the wedding. So I'm gonna blame most of my spending on the wedding this time. Worth it, sure, but now I not only feel like shit from eating that stuff, but I also, you know, spent $300 on food, entertaining food last month. So I need to work on that for sure. And I've already told my boyfriend, like, I'm going to stop spending so much money on dating and eating out. And he was fine with it. So get you a frugal guy. Get you a frugal guy. So anyway, besides that, there were some travel expenses for the bachelorette party. And the good news is I'm back on to spending $2,000 on my debt. The thing is, though, that's going to change because I had to take $5,000 out of my emergency fund to pay those taxes. So I am now switching, now in October, I'm switching tactics to saving for my emergency fund again, because in 2020 and going into 2021, I want to have at least 6 months of savings available to me at a moment's notice, because I mean, nothing's really for certain right now, and it feels like anything that could go wrong is going wrong. So I am certainly going to be switching my efforts to that, to rebuild my emergency fund, but to also make sure that I have savings for when I have to pay taxes again in January. So those are the things. Besides that, some of the random, I'm not going to share the whole spending report, but some of the random things that I had to spend money on last month, besides the ones that I've already mentioned. I spent way too much money on eating out or getting special food or whatever, so I'm not proud of that. We went to an Asian market, and when I say we, my boyfriend and I went to an Asian market, and we spent like $100 on snacks. So yeah. I'm really obsessed with this thing called red bean, and it's like in a lot of different pastries and things in the Asian market, and so I introduced him to it. He loved it, and so we went back and we bought a ton of red bean filled things. So that was a bit much. That's not something that's going to happen again. And besides that, I also bought a new subscription to Zoom. I got Zoom for $75 for a whole year, which is pretty good. Because I think it's usually about $40 a month. So I think I saved like 80% or something crazy like that, which was really awesome. And then, yeah, I only ordered Aldi Instacart once, which is good. And that's pretty much it. So that $10,000 was really the worst thing, or the $5,000 for the taxes. So I'm going to share my numbers here. Ba-ba-ba-da. These are my total spent in September 2020 was $10,257, and the percent of after-tax income that I spent on debt was 38%, and the percent of after-tax income that I just spent when you take the debt out of it is 62%, and that's like on my living expenses and things like that. And then if you take out the pre-tax income, so I put 25% in my 401k. That's going to change here soon because I am reaching the max out period, and I'm going to start diverting funds into a Roth IRA. But I am living off of 30% of my pre-tax income. So when I look at my debt and savings, I have now $6,000 in cash. I have $43.9 thousand in a real estate investment. I have $59.6 in a 401k. The market went down, so I no longer have 60, but you know what? That's what happens. So that brings my total savings to $109.7 thousand. My total debt is $31,000 from student loans, and my net worth, even though it was in the 80s last month, is now down to 78.7, and that's because I had to take all that money out of my savings, and I also, the market went down, so that's kind of how that works. It is what it is. So anyway, in terms of goals for next month, I really want to switch tactics and save more because I need to build up my emergency fund again. And I also want to create a year-end budget because I do this thing where I am on an October to October time frame for my yearly budget, which is just weird and annoying. So what I'm going to do now that I finished my second year of budgeting is I'm just going to create a budget for October to December, and then I'm going to start my new yearly budget in January. So that's something I need to create. And in addition to that, I would really like to stop spending so much money on food. $600 on food is insane. That's insane. It's one person. That's not okay. So I need to switch tactics, and maybe I will just make a category specifically for food because that might help me not spend so much money on food because that's ridiculous. So we'll see. If you have any advice on how to stop spending so much money on food, and when I say food, I include restaurants and eating out and things like that, let me know. Leave me some tips in the comments below. And I need to start doing it. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. If this is the type of content you like, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let me know what you think in the comments below. So thanks for stopping by, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye!